Welcome to Three Things here on Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm Dina King, staff writer here at Tar Heel Illustrated, filling in for Brandon P. and Jacob Turner. Andrew's there at the Dean Dome where he saw the Tar Heels fall 80-72 to the Miami Hurricanes. One of the big things was the uh, poor shooting effort for the Tar Heels and lack of assist on baskets. Andrew, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've had major Wi-Fi issues tonight with the three things, with Brandon and Jacob unable to do it, and you're even having issues, and you may go your picture may go nuts here in a second, so people shouldn't be alarmed. But I think it kind of mirrors North Carolina's offensive play in many respects. The Tar Heels scored 72 points, and Hubert said, "Well, we didn't hit a lot of shots," and some of the guys were saying, "Well, it's just a matter of missing shots." Now, they hit the first three. It was Caleb. And then they missed like their next 15, and they were 2 for 22 at one point. I don't remember where they ended up, 5 for 31, 6 for 31. It was a terrible shooting performance. And really what I think we're learning about this team is that they have a hard time manufacturing baskets, getting baskets out of movement, cutting, synergy, and that kind of thing. They have to hit shots, and they become jump shooting team. And I thought Miami made them more of a jump shooting team in the second half. The Tar Heels had some success driving in the first half. They were 11 for 13 on layups in the first half, which is pretty high percentage rate for this club, because a lot of times they get stymied in the lane. And even Armando's baskets, some of them he had to start outside the block. He kind of worked his man in. He doesn't always do that. He had to his shots kind of started from a different spot than they do a lot of the time, but Miami kept him from getting good touches in the second half. They forced the Tar Heels to shoot a lot of perimeter shots, a lot of shots off the dribble. There really wasn't any synergy at all in the second half. The movement is poor. Some of the players have told us that other teams kind of know the sets. It's fairly simple. It was pretty obvious tonight that Miami knew what Carolina's running, and they kept Carolina from running it. And really, it's a simple recipe. If you can, what makes it easier to defend a sets that is when you don't have to always guard everybody on the court. And that's becoming a fairly consistent theme for this Carolina team, something that even Hubert addressed a little bit after the game. Some of the players were talking about it. Armando said more guys have to get involved and have to be a part of things. Caleb said more guys have to get involved and be a part of things. And they're not going to specifically talk about Pete Nance, but clearly that's an issue right now. In the last 4 games, if you exclude the second half at Wake Forest, which was a blowout by halftime, Pete has six points in the last 140 competitive minutes. Now, I'm not dogging on Pete here. It's just a reality. He knows it. Everybody in the team knows it. Hubert knows it. Tonight, Hubert said, well, maybe we got to tweak some things, tweak how we go about things, maybe tweak some personnel. But it's not just Pete. It's their movement on offense. You can struggle shooting the ball, but if you don't move, you're easy to guard. If guys who are struggling to shoot were at least moving, opponents would have to cover them. If Pete's rolling to the basket, if you're tempting some back doors, you're just two dudes, Pete and Leaky, just kind of crossing on the baseline, going from one corner wing to the other corner wing instead of just standing at a wing, defenses have to react to that. It would be harder to double and triple Armando. Yeah, they tripled him at times tonight. It would maybe create some more offensive engagement for the guards. Now, the guards had good scoring games, but they didn't have great fluidity games. So scoring points is great. Remember we talked about the other day, you didn't do the 3 things with me, Jacob did, Dina, but everyone, boy, Caleb looked great, hitting shots. Look at how they're different when they hit shots, but it's how they got the shots. There was tremendous engagement involved. There wasn't tremendous engagement involved offensively tonight. And that's how you get 6 assists on 29 baskets, which is 20.8%, 20.9%. Keep in mind, last year their assist rate, I believe, was 54.1%. It's a bad number. And then something we're going to talk about in a minute, also offensive rebounding. They just, when you shoot what they did from the perimeter and you're not getting assists, that means you're not in sync. And if you're not in sync and you're playing a club that has Final Four potential like Miami, a club that might be the best team in this league, you're going to lose at home. And that's what happened tonight. And I'll tell you, the players' meeting was fantastic. They did the other day. And the tactic that Hubert used on Friday was great. I don't think energy, effort was an issue. I thought there were times it dipped because the weight of the frustration and how things were going tonight, I think affected these kids. But you've got to be more in sync offensively. You can't look like you're playing a zone offense against man to man as often as this team did tonight and as often as it has many times this season. They've got to get mojo on offense, man. They got to get a little giddy up going. And until they figure that out, and until they make the tweaks that Hubert's talking about that leads to more of that, they're going to have really tough nights if they're not hitting shots because they're not very good at manufacturing points.
You mentioned rebounding. A trademark of all Carolina teams is how well they rebound the ball. Miami out rebounded the Tar Heels tonight by 8. Armando only had 3 rebounds total, and that's totally not the Armando that we've seen for the past 2 or 3 years. You know, Mr. Double Double. Your comments on the offensive and defensive rebounding woes of the Tar Heels tonight.
So people kind of had a misperception about Miami that it's not a very good rebounding team because they're small, but they were plus 2.2, which isn't terrible. Coming into this game, Carolina was only plus 5.1. So Tar Heels have not been a typical UNC rebounding team this season, especially on the offensive end. And that was an issue tonight. They had 9 offensive rebounds on 37 misses. That's a terrible percentage. You want to be at about 40. The team a couple of years ago, Roy's last team was at 44.6. That was a very, very high number. But if you could be at 38 to 40 and you can get some production off of that, that's where you need to be. So if you think about how offensive rebounding has always been one of the offensive weapons for this team, this program, tonight they're 5 for 31 or whatever it was from 3-point range. Okay. They have 6 assists on 29 baskets, and they had 9 offensive rebounds on 37 misses. I don't know how the heck they got to 72 points, Dina. I really don't. They struggled mightily. One of their offensive rebounds was a tip out. So, and another one, could have another one for Armando, but the ball ended up being turned over. Miami ended up getting it. So Miami did a good job laying bodies on Armando, keeping him from getting touches. And if you have a bunch of dudes around Armando in the offensive end, guess what happens? Somebody's going to turn and box him out, and he's not going to get rebounds on the offensive end. Plus, I think a lot of Carolina's misses were threes. They had a very high shooting percentage inside the arc, but they were missing a lot of threes. So there's a lot of long rebounds that Armando is not going to be prone to grab. Not as many as if they're missing stuff inside the arc. So a lot of stuff did not work in Armando's favor tonight. And when that happens, Carolina is in a tough position. He had 4 fouls in a 4.5 minute stretch early in the second half. Bad night for him. A lot of it wasn't his fault. A lot of it, this is a team game. It takes 5 guys in the court to make stuff happen for everybody. And again, going back to the lack of synergy, I think part of the offensive rebounding issues was because they took so many threes and missed so many threes. And you're generally not going to grab as many of those as you will if you get more regular shots out of your offense. If they had a better, more consistent offense that got shots from lots of different spots on the floor and shots the players know are coming, they have a better chance of grabbing missed shots in those situations. And that didn't happen tonight. So a couple of areas that this team should be so much better, especially given their experience and given their capabilities, what their potential level is, and what we've seen at times in the past. And those didn't show up tonight. Again, when those things happen, you lose at home, especially against a really good team, and they played a really good team tonight.
Lastly, our final segment in our 3 things. What does this mean? Tar Heels have another tough battle as they go down the road, down 40 to Raleigh this weekend. So, Andrew, it's another tough one for the Tar Heels.
They lost a game at home tonight in which Isaiah Wong took 1 shot in the second half. I thought Leakey did a great job on him. He took 8 shots for the game, and 5 of them were with Leakey defending him. 1 was with Leakey out of the game. 1 was after a switch, and 1 was sort of in transition. So in the last 2 games, Leakey has held Hunter Tyson to 2 shots and Isaiah Wong to 5. The reason I'm mentioning is this. The other night, they hit some shots. They had engagement on offense, and Leakey's defensive effort helped them get a win. Tonight, I thought he did a really good job on Wong, but the other things weren't there. It's real simple. It's real. I don't think, as much as people complain about this team's defense, I don't think their issue is as much defensively as it is offensively. It's not just missing a bunch of shots. It's the kind of shots they get. It's how connected everything is. And unless they just catch fire and go on a run and suddenly start getting shots in a different manner than they have most of the season, it's hard to anticipate this team going on a run. We've got 26 games of intel now. And when I look out on the court and I see those guys, I can envision what I saw a year ago, even with the issues they're having at the 4 spot, which I do think Pete's minutes are going to be trimmed. You might see more Puff, but Puff's not always going to be the answer. There probably needs to be a little bit more Jalen Washington. He has the ability to put the ball in the basket. If nothing else, get him out there and get some experience because you're going to rely on him next year, right? Or just shake things up. Hubert's not a big shake things up guy. At least he hasn't proven to be that coach 1 year and 26 games into his career. Right now, if there ever was a time, it's time to shake things up because you can't go back to the old well of the team meeting and the emotional team meeting. You can't go back and make them wear vests in practice on Wednesday. You've done all that stuff. You've exhausted those things. Right now is a fork in the road moment for Hubert with this team as far as you got to try something different because this ain't working. They're 16-10. And if the tournament selection show was tonight, they probably would not be in it. And Dina, I don't think they would deserve to be in. I don't know if Ohio State dropped out of being a quad 1 game yet, but they're trending that way because they've fallen apart. And that was their one quad 1 win as a team with a losing record and next to last place or third to last in the Big Ten. So they need wins. Tonight was a win they needed. Tonight was a win over a team that could have ended up as a quad 1 game. They got one quad 1 opportunity left, and or 2 quad 1 opportunities left before the ACC tournament, and that's next Sunday at State. I mean, that's going to be a very tough assignment for these guys, and then Virginia here in a couple of weeks. So, and that's always tough for North Carolina. So, Armando said their backs are against the wall. He said they put themselves in this position. Although tonight he didn't have a lot to say because I think there was a numbness to this performance and this result that what I gauged from him and from Caleb, they didn't really know what to say. No smiles, no exclamations about we've got to do this, this, and this. I mean, I asked Armando, I can't remember specifically what the question was, but it's on our video. You can watch it here on Tar Heel Illustrated, the YouTube channel, and also on our site, tarheelillustrated.com. I can't remember what the question was, but I asked him and he looked at me and said, I don't know. He shrugged his shoulders, kind of shook his head a little bit, said, I don't know. Looked me right in the eye and said that. And I think that sums it up right now. They don't know. They're 26 games into the season and they don't know. If there's ever a time to shake things up, now is the time to do it. And the status quo is not working. So things must be shaken up. And if that means, and Hubert did, to his credit, when I asked him tonight about how do you alleviate the double teams and the triples on Armando, what has to happen? What do you have to do offensively to get other guys more involved so they're in positions to perhaps score and where they must be defended more? And his response was basically, maybe some personnel changes, some tweaks, the tweaks, alters, and pivots and all that kind of stuff. He loves to say that. But mixed in there, he did say maybe some personnel stuff. So we'll see. I mean, now's the time to do it. I'm going to repeat that over and over. And I haven't written my column or anything yet. Maybe that's my column. I don't know. Because desperate times call for desperate measures. And when you're 16-10 and you're 8-7 in a bad ACC, which is the sixth best conference in the country, and you've now lost 2 out of 3 at home. You're 1-4 since beating Syracuse in January. They got 1 win in February. I would say these are desperate times. So we're going to see what Hubert Davis has up his sleeve to respond to a moment like this in time. I think this is a key moment for him. I think this is a key moment for this team. It's a key moment for this program. I mean, people were kind of half joking in the press room about, wow, can you imagine if they're in the NIT? Yeah. The team I saw not handle the end of Pitt well, that's NIT. The team I saw not handle the end of Duke well, that's NIT. The team I saw for 32 minutes or whatever it was in Winston-Salem, that's NIT. And the team that was stagnant offensively tonight relied on 2 very talented guards, 2 really good players to basically dribble and hit jumpers. That looked like NIT stuff. So, I mean, they did some good things tonight. I thought they played hard. I don't think this was a step back in that direction. I don't think it's an issue of Hubert losing the team, which some people are throwing out there on social media. I think they need to tweak how their approach. simple as that. And there's an opportunity to do that now. It'll be very interesting to see how they respond to all this.
Well, that's a good place to stop, Andrew. Folks, if you want to follow us on at our website, tarheelillustrated.com, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm Dina King, he's AJ, and thank you for joining us
Thanks.
tonight.